Good evening, everyone. This is the call to order of the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting agenda scheduled for Tuesday, June 1st, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. in Oxford Town Hall. I'm very glad after 15 months to be calling this meeting in person. I think we've all missed each other and it's good to see everybody back together. So let's kick this off with the Pledge to Allegiance. Everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At least when we do the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll all be in
sync. We're all in sync and everything, too. All right, let's go into a roll call here, and we're going to start on the side of the room over here. Dave Sauter. And for the record, Steve McCary just stepped out of the room for a moment. I've already been contacted by John Kerwin that he is running a couple of minutes late, but will be here. And Dan Wall, are you online? I want to make sure I'm not muted here. And okay, so I don't see Dan Wall here online. So what I'm going to do is ask Josh if you, we're going to seat you in place of Dan Wall. And we'll step now into the agenda itself. Public hearings, recessed public hearings, we have none. New public hearings, we have none. Future public hearings, we have none. Moving on to regular meeting business. I'm not aware of any, but anybody in the question, do we have any amendments to the agenda? No, hearing none. Next up, we have the audience of citizens. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to something that is not currently listed on the agenda tonight? Would you mind stepping forward, just for the record, because we're doing this meeting in person as well as online. So I'd love to be able, if you could step forward and be able to capture your information. I'm sorry to make you. Come on, why don't you come up close? I just want the microphone to be able to pick you up. I'm actually going to turn this around.
I'm not used to this.
I know, it's high tech. There you go. Thank you very much, Brett.
Thank you very much.
And if you could just speak in a clear voice and just wait for Brett to get back to his seat so we can all.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we would just need your name and address for the record.
Yes, Donna Stone, 447 Roseville Drive.
Thank you.
All right.
You have the floor.
I mentioned the hedges, but I can't do anything yet because a survey has to be done to make sure guaranteed. Even though my neighbors cut them all down and I had put them in 20 years ago, I know they're mine, but this weekend, to me, it's considered a safety issue. And I don't know where to go to handle it, so I'm kind of start here. Every year, they have a small yard and the rest of us all have real, good sized yards. But every year they decide to have the biggest picnic all the time. I mean, I'm talking about 300 people at times.
Wow.
Okay. Well, this time, a tenant moved in. He's the one, and he's a relative of them. So he knows he's been to all those picnics. So he said he's having a wedding, and he said to me, "Don't worry, nobody's going to be parking in your yard." I said, "No problem, okay? I just don't block me in." And they came over and asked me if they could use my yard because I have nice flowers and stuff for their wedding pictures. So I said, "Yes, no problem." Next thing I know, in the afternoon, my whole front of the yard was packed with cars. I couldn't even get out if I had an emergency. Or if I needed an ambulance because I fell, they would have to be parked in the road in front of my yard, plus on the shoulder of the road on both sides, in everybody else's yard, plus the soccer field, they were all parked, plus down at the rowing center. they're all cars parked. So I can't imagine how many people were there. And so I went out and I was crying because I was so upset, I couldn't even get out. One big car was parked right up on my fence. He says, what's the matter? I said, you guys have blocked me and I can't even get out. Well, we're here for a wedding. I said, what does that have to do with me not being able to get out of my yard? And you could see I couldn't walk good and I was upset. I said, I can't even walk. He said, well, go to a nursing home. That's exactly what the guy said to me. And then he said, listen, if you step in that yard, I'll have you arrested. So I had to turn around and call the police just to have a car move, just so I can get out.
Right.
That's not right. And I think if you have that many people at a park, why doesn't the town make them have a permit? They would if it was a carnival, right?
I want to introduce you to Steve McCary over here. He's our zoning enforcement officer. And I saw him scribbling some notes.
I mean, because like you, the state, might have been you, Steve, I don't remember, made me move my father's camper in front of my house because they said, or else I was going to be being charged me every day that it was still there. But yeah, everybody else could park in my yard. Everybody else. But see, so my house is the first house after they go by their yard and can't get in. So mine's the first one. And I can't do it anymore. One year they almost burnt my boat. I had a brand new boat, had it 3 weeks. They shut off fireworks right off top of my boat. Every year it's something, and this town has done nothing.
I don't know about what's happened in the past. All I can
I
look
know,
at right now
I
is
tell
what's in
you,
front.
yes.
But first off, thank you for coming in here and telling us. And
Yeah, because I didn't know what else to do next.
From the perspective you said, it sounds like something I'd be very, very upset and frustrated about myself.
Absolutely, they call me on a handicapped. You know what I mean? That is
Yeah.
making fun of somebody that's had 9 cracks in my back.
That's why I wanted to, be able to have Steve, Steve maybe if you have a call, you can be with her as well.
I mean, the cop
I
that came
want
out
him-
was very, very nice.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Yeah, but I still like him to be able to kind of, have a chance to gather all the details from you.
Oh,
A little bit easier where the room's not
And another
echoing
thing I
like
don't know if
crazy.
you guys are aware of. I wanted to call the routine number for the police department because it wasn't a 911 call. I just needed to get out.
Right.
You know, they have a recording and said, you have to call, dial 911 if it's emergency, otherwise put your extension in, what you want to call. Why don't we have a phone number, a routine phone number? Is that because it was a holiday weekend, or is that every day? That's something.
That's probably not something that we could answer here, but that'll be a
I know, but I
definitely to talk
figured
to.
you might
Yeah.
want to know that,
Yeah.
because I work for the phone company, I knew,
Right.
it's not normal.
Right. What I'd like for Steve to do is get with you and gather all the
Oh,
details about it, and kind of
absolutely.
identify, is there something that we can do now if there is anything?
Okay.
And if not, I wanted to be able to let you know what's the best thing to do if something like this were to repeat
Okay,
itself.
because I'll tell you also, they had a big trailer full of toilets. Not the normal kind, it was all toilet. He had originally asked the neighbor next door if he could put it in her yard.
Mhm.
So you're making problems for everybody else that has nothing to do where you're waiting.
Right.
Rent a home. If you're having that many people, shouldn't be in a backyard that's like the size of a stamp.
Right.
All right, Steve, I'm sorry.
I have a section here that, it's 3.28. I probably could apply, but I need to know. See, we don't know when they're having their events. So we don't know if they're having a wedding or a picnic. It happens all over Oxford, but if they come in,
Not like this one.
or if you notify me, I can certainly,
Should I call the fire marshal to send it down? Because
I can certainly, why don't you give me your name and number, I'll get back to you.
absolutely, because I got
Because it's hard for me.
I took all pictures and everything, so if you need anything,
Well, I'm not sure I can apply something that happened last week.
I mean, but I need to, that's what I want. Because what if there was an emergency? The neighbor on the other side, her husband's in a wheelchair because he had a stroke. So I mean, I don't know if they could even get into her house either because all the cars were parked. So So it's ongoing
What is
problem.
your phone number?
Yes, 203-732-3829.
I'll read through this and see what I can come up with.
No problem.
Like I said, moving forward, if I know they're gonna have an event, or we've had people call for weddings or setting up big tents.
Oh, he
Big
did?
permits, you can call the PD if they need traffic control.
We
But
had-
we need to know,
Oh, he put a big tent up too.
well, we need to know when they're gonna happen.
Right. So I mean, I could care less. But don't block in the neighbors in case there's an emergency, or it's not our event, you know?
Temporary use permits apply. Whole thing is done, sometimes people are already in the middle of their event on Saturday or Sunday. There's not much that can happen. Certainly, it's something that, there is a section that deals with it. It's more where people come in honestly looking at it and apply for the permit.
Because one of my neighbor from, I used to live in Seymour, came over one day when they were having a picnic next door, and she's seen it, because I have a deck. She said, that's not a picnic, that's a carnival. I mean, there was over 300 people. She said, they need to be a cop because there was so much traffic going across. You know, so this is not something that just is the
So
case.
you're on the riverside.
I'm on the river, yes.
You're on the Seymour,
No, I'm right on the line, just,
the Seymour Oxford,
yes, just past it.
by the new house they built in Blue Lawn.
Oh, just past that. Just near the 3 houses from the soccer field, you know where the soccer field is.
So what's going to happen, Steve's going to,
I appreciate
yeah, no
that.
problem at all. We want to be able to hear you out and all, and it
Well,
sounds
that's why I
like.
didn't know what else to turn, but I want you guys to know what's
Right.
going on over there because it's not fair. I didn't complain about the band, I didn't complain about nothing, but you know, it wasn't bad. Music was terrible. But
It wasn't your music.
Miserable, you know? But the parking, that's not.
No,
Because that really is a safety issue. Because the fire trucks, if they ever come, they have to stop the whole traffic both sides.
right.
Do you have their address?
449 Roosevelt. Yes. Daddy used to own it, then he turned it over to his daughter. Her name was Cheryl Smith. She moved to California, so now they got their relative that just moved in about 2 months ago. So it's been, so he's been to all those picnics, so he
Right.
knows, it's all the same group, I assume, I don't really know.
Right. So Steve's going to follow.
All right,
Let me
thank
help
you.
you.
So you're all set then? You don't need me now?
No, well, we always need you, but you're wrapped up here, so.
Great, thank
But we
you,
might-
appreciate it.
Brett, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. I'm careful going home. Night. What time did you start? 7:32. Yeah. Okay. Right.
She made a comment that it happens every year though. She
Right.
had parties, so.
Yeah,
I mean,
follow
those
up,
are
get the
potential, what do we
details.
do?
I'm not sure if you can say something to the neighbor or not. Yeah.
And even if they come in and they, I permit them to come here, they tell us what they're doing.
Right. All right. Okay. Continuing on with audience and citizens, is there anybody else in the audience that would like to bring up something that's not listed on tonight's agenda? And going one more time to the audience of citizens, is there anybody in the audience who would like to bring up something that's not on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll carry on. Moving on to correspondence, we have a letter dated May 13, 2021 from Fay Billings, the president of Fairview at Oxford Greens, regarding Fairview at Oxford Greens Phase 4, application C12-018, which has been entered into the meeting and entered into the packet here. And our Mr. Secretary is not here, so I will go ahead and read this in. This is a letter addressed to myself, David Sauter, Chair, Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as to Susan Purcell Gibbons, the Chair of the Conservation Commission Inland Wetlands Agency, regarding Fairview at Oxford Greens, Phase 4, application Z12-018 and IW 12-11. Dear Town of Oxford Committee members, the Fairview at Oxford Greens Executive Board would like to bring your attention numerous items that are in violation of the plans approved under applications Z12-018 and IW 12-11. The Executive Board would like to thank you in advance for your time to consider both the content of this letter and the actions needed to remediate. Fairview at Oxford Greens is an HOA formed under the Connecticut Common Interest Ownership Act. The Town of Oxford is familiar with the Fairview project, which is in Phase 4 of the overall development of Oxford Greens. Phase 4 was conceptually approved in 2003 as a planned unit development of detached single-family homes. In 2012, a zoning application and a wetlands application were brought to modify Phase 4, and it became a planned unit development consisting of duplexes and triplexes, now in its final year of the construction of 146 units. As of May 1st, 2021, there are approximately 215 residents living in 128 units. 2 model home units are finished and soon to be occupied, leaving only 16 units currently in various stages of construction, from foundation ready to nearly complete buildings, all under contract for purchase. 1 year to the day following the Planning and Zoning Commission approval of Oxford Greens Phase 4 residential development application Z12-018, Pulte Homes of New England filed with the town clerk the condominium declaration for Fairview at Oxford Greens on May 3rd, 2013. Under the Connecticut Common Interest Ownership Act, Pulte transferred control of Fairview in 2019 to a duly elected all-resident executive board when it reached a 60% mark in sales. Today, Fairview at Oxford Greens is a non-stock common interest community corporation organized to manage all common areas and resident member buildings in Fairview, save for those few mentioned under contract for sale, and to conduct affairs with the Town of Oxford regarding Fairview Phase 4. With these facts in mind, we point your commission to numerous items that are in direct violation of the plans approved under application Z12-018 and IW 12-11, which adversely affected the Fairview community. If they remain uncorrected by Pulte, the violations will constitute an unfinished site plan development from the planning and zoning perspective. There may also be adverse impacts relating to the surrounding environment from an inland wetlands and watercourses perspective. In the town and Fairview's mutual interest, the Executive Board of Fairview is asking Oxford to assist in holding Pulte accountable through municipal actions to enforce the completeness of this project and ensure environmental protections. The Fairview Executive Board urges the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Conservation Commission Inland Wetlands Agency to hold special meetings on site to see and document the following conditions. Numerous violations of the soil erosion and sedimentation control plan, including loss of topsoil and failure to control invasive species that are outpacing special seed mixes on slopes as called for on plans. A system of linked stormwater detention ponds that are in use while at the same time they are not yet built according to the approved plans. Failure to replace dead landscape plantings as shown on approved plans. Ensuring that the final course of pavement is applied to St. Andrews Drive, Augusta Drive, Turnberry Court, and the remainder of the Championship Drive, and that all curb repairs, replacements are accomplished and road painting and markers are completed. There are several references in the soil erosion and sedimentation control plan regarding the involvement of the engineer. The Fairview Executive Board knows that Oxford has no sitting town engineer and that Oxford utilizes a consulting town engineer who the town is privileged by zoning regulation to call into duty and charge engineering fees back to Pulte. We urge the Town of Oxford to employ this avenue for this project. There's a performance bond in place valued at only $100,000. The Fairview Executive Board has grave concerns that there is not enough surety in place if Pulte will not remediate the matters listed above. As such, the Fairview Executive Board urges the town not to release or move the bond to another phase absent full compliance with all that is required. Thank you for your consideration. Fay Billings, President, Fairview at Oxford Greens. So, my initial thought when reading this is that we share the same land use attorney with Inland Wetlands, and this is kind of going over both of it, crossing both commissions. Does it make sense to let Attorney McSherry review this first up front and come back with recommendations in terms of what our next steps should be to proceed?
I just have something to say. So we got this a while ago. Mike Kerr went out there and met with several people out there for a sidewalk. The erosion control is not that bad. The bond, how the bond works is when you come in and you want to put a bond back, you go out there. Mike and I got on his friends only walk through with the map, check your photos, get a final estimate, make sure every single plan is in that they propose on the plan. If it's not, we have to do it.
Mhm.
I need shakes. If there's something that's not right, we tell them to fix it, they do. They made several field changes over the course of the year for photos and whatnot, which is all through by us anyway. We're coming in with another phase. I have never had a problem up there ever with them. They've always done anything we've asked them to do. There's some wetlands issues, some runoff and stuff that Mike is in touch with. Tony Schuman, who is the general foreman up there, but they're very cooperative and they work with us well. So I don't have a problem with any of this. I can brief Kevin on it if you want me to, but I'm up there 2, 3 times, 4 times. Oh, I'm up there a lot. Anytime there's a silt fence or there's a storm, they make sure everything's in control. And they're not done grading yet either. This is the newer section, so. And they said with the final coat on, they got a hydro seed, there's plants, there's a ton of stuff they have to do. Just a lot of residents don't like what they see right now. If you go to the phase, I think it's phase 3 on Championship, that's complete. You know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely, yeah. Yeah, I have to.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
Because they're done, they want their bond back, so I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, it was a $50,000 performance bond. Jim Gallo knows how he wants it. Says, okay, he's good. We rely on his letter. But we'll certainly follow up with these people.
I want to make sure that, from a coordination standpoint, that it's great if Inland had the letter first and everybody started doing something with it. That's fantastic, but I also want to make sure that that we're resolving it together on both sides. So if you want to front run that and coordinate that and, refer to Attorney McSherry as needed, that's fine, and you can run with the response to this.
They're selling a lot of houses right now. So
Okay.
You might want to just document, what you're doing up there specifically, so when they come back and Pulte asks for their bond back and the commission or the HOA starts to complain, we can show, okay, you went up, they told us that there was a problem with the landscaping, you went up on such date, you observed X, Y, and Z. So, that's up to Jim, right? That's up to Jim. He's gonna do the final
yes,
walkthrough.
yeah, Jim does. Walk you through everything.
And I think from a standpoint of the commission, what the commission can always do is, if staff report to them, and you can start the hearing on it, and say, Mike, how do we need to give the opportunity for people who are living there, if they have concerns with the way, and then you have your input from staff that will tell you what exactly has been done. So if it's a checklist that 10 or 12 things have been done, and the 2 remaining things are, what's the cost of that? And the box is reduced to a certain number. But I think what you do is, that's probably the best process, especially if a lot of people live in there.
Right.
So they're watching it every day, and Steve's quite right. When it's in process, it's a lot different.
And when it's at the end.
I would, it's Kevin and I work in Norfolk, I would love to do sidewalks. Set a meeting and walk everybody who wants to go, individual walking with the people and just, so they can voice. It's so much easier if you see it. And that normally works pretty well. They're very demanding people.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to go up there and walk through one. We'd have to have a meeting for every, to decide what's good or what's bad.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
whatever we should do, we do a sidewalk, everybody meet up there and walk with me. Just walk and look at it.
I'm comfortable with you going up and
Okay, that's
documenting.
fine.
Right. Mhm. Right, you have something?
No, I just had a question. So there's another phase that's going on?
I want to say there's 3 more.
Okay, so
There's another like 100, they're coming in right now with 42 miles.
So reference was made that the phase 3 looks beautiful. Granted, I don't know what it looks like, and I assume it's correct. So at the end of phase 4, before they move on to the next phase, do we typically require them to remediate all the concerns before the next phase begins? Or do we allow those issues to be resolved at the, let's say, the end of the project, we simply carry those remediated needs forward, and we increase the bond to cover those, and they get taken care of at some point in time?
We, in the past, we've never, they've completed all the phases, they want all the yards in, they just want to move on right away. We've never required them to do that. If Jim goes out on this phase and says, okay, this looks good, what he has done in the past is taking this $100,000 bond and just moving forward to the next phase, if it looks good.
Like if all of the issues,
Correct.
let's say, are remediated?
Yes.
Okay.
And they like,
Condition too, wouldn't we, to be able to hold up the beginning of a next phase? We couldn't just say, oh, you can't start, unless we had already put that into the initial approvals. And if they start the phase early, and there's still amounts left over in the bond, there's no reason to knock that 100,000 to the next one. We can require a new bond. You get the other one back when you finish it.
Thank you, Steve. All right. Moving on, old business matters upon which a public meeting was held is none. Other matters, none. New business, schedule a public hearing, none. New business, no new business for this particular meeting. Zoning enforcement, none here. Okay. Yep. No, that's why I'm asking. Jess is following up with you, regularly to get what it is. So when you're ready to put that on here, you work through her and she'll get it on here and we'll kind of go right through it. All right. We do not have the meetings or the minutes. Do we have the minutes here? I don't know. And Jess unfortunately is not feeling well, so she's not here tonight. So we will hold off on the meetings until our next scheduled meeting, which brings us to the invoices, Land Use and Conservation Council. I received a note from Peter Olson as he's getting back in the office, and he was doing cleanup on all of his accounts receivable for the year. We did identify 3 invoices that were not that had not been paid, and we verified over here on our end that they had not been paid as well. So these are all outstanding from the extent that, we're just seeing them now. They are still in the current fiscal year. There is still money in the budget for that, so it's not going to impact anything budget-wise or anything. It's just a matter of paying for services. We're just seeing the bills for now. So I would.
Where are we with our budget from a perspective? Are we under budget? Are we right in line?
We're under budget because we had, there was a lot allocated towards that conglomerate where we were sharing, COG, thank you. We were sharing between the three towns, and we had a large portion of our budget allocated towards that. So that was not spent. We also, due to the pandemic, we just did not have the volume of applications that we've typically seen, and so we had a lot of legal fees that weren't used. We had stenographer fees budgeted for that we didn't use. So we're definitely coming in under. To take it one step further, though, my concern when I met with the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance is that, the pendulum where it started swinging this far and we weren't spending that much at all because of the pandemic. Well, they took it back to the other end and said, okay, well, you don't need any of that now. And my concern, and I've already voiced it many times, is that, hey, this is all going to ramp back up and it's all going to come back around. So we're going to be at a point where, we might be coming back and having this discussion again. So just to kind of let you folks know, they did slash into the legal budget and a few other places on our side. And I sent a note to the Board of Selectmen and also to the Board of Finance and let them know my feelings regarding that. So get it on the record. Sorry, that was long-winded, but.
That's why we're getting our tax decrease this year.
Yes.
Which we'll all be voting on this Thursday after the school.
There you go. So looking at invoices here, we have one invoice here for $418 regarding the New Haven Rowing Club, dated August 8th, 2020. I'll entertain a motion to pay. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? For the record, since we're recording, Brett made the motion and John Kerwin seconded. Regarding invoice number 1023, also dated August 8th, 2020, Timberlake 830G appeal for $301. I'll entertain a motion to pay. Brett, second by John Kerwin. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. And finally, we have an invoice for TBB Contractors Appeal, also dated August 8th, 2020, number 1023-18. This is for $1,526.50. Also going to the Land Use Conservation Council. All those in favor? Or I'm sorry, make a motion. Thank you. Brett, second by John. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Regarding other business, we have, and I know it was the holiday and the short turnaround, so I'm hoping we can, if somebody wants to kind of look at this. This was emailed around the policies of Oxford's Planning and Zoning Commission. It's relatively short, and basically we're looking for feedback in terms of comments. Like I have my notes and everything, but I don't want to arbitrarily say these are what we should be doing. So I'd really like if everybody could take a quick look at this, take 10 minutes, jot down some notes in terms of what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, so we can just pull it together and come up with, I don't have copies of it here, but I can email it to everybody again. I'm sorry, I'll have Jess email it to everybody again. And we could take a look at it and get some stuff back to her so we could kind of talk a little bit more about it at the next meeting.
Well, it's such a short document. I mean, was there anything that you wanted to bring up that we might as well just knock out right now?
I think it'd be easier if we everybody got the ability to sit down,
Okay.
pour a glass of wine, kick back, relax, really get into it.
If there's one thing about this, that I want to do, because this has come back occasionally and bitten us a little bit, and I don't know what it's going to be called, and Jess and I have gone back and forth. I'd like to have a section in here that we can use at our own discretion to be able to have, like, for example, we were talking about the battery plant last week, and to be able to assign that to a spot to be able to talk about that to the commission. It's not necessarily an application, it's not even a pre-application, but something, or these types of matters where if we want to have something here for the benefit of the commission, where do we put it? And so it's documented and clearly spelled out in the agenda. I don't know what that's called or what it looks like, but I think it makes sense to have something like that that we can use when it's needed. So that's, again, I'm deciding that. That was one of the things I've been thinking about. We can talk about that. Yeah.
Maybe a procedure with those type of presentations that you can call things out of order. So you don't have some guy waiting for the entire meeting to get, other matters that the commission deems necessary.
Make it procedural
Make
instead
a
of.
procedural, policy that the commissioner has the ability to change the order to accommodate, a certain presentation. So you can do that.
Mhm. So it's a.
Do some literature in the town charter about this zoning procedures. Zoning, we should check into that too. Town charter.
I'm not sure, is this, have you seen this in the charter?
Might be the same thing. Yeah, it's either in the ordinances or in the charter under planning and zoning.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's been drafted and tweaked over time. But yeah, you're right, and that's another good point. We want to make sure that we're not
If it's in the
reaching it.
charter.
Yeah, it's a whole different
We're not
story.
changing it.
Oh. But it also is concerning because some of the things in here, we really are very much out of date. So we want to make sure that we try and get the current as well too. I'll have Jess email it to you. Take a peek. It's one of those things where it's nice to be able to get back together and talk about this stuff. And to Brett's point, I think if we have everybody's feedback, you're right, we can bang it out pretty quickly. And I'm trying to take advantage of the fact that we can, a little bit light right now with the agenda, so let's try and be able to try and do something like that. Mhm.
I don't think that's in the ordinances, because there are some things, with regard to just the staggering and, a couple of ordinances about the number of, absences that a member can have, and the effects, but I don't remember seeing that. I remember seeing it in either the charter or something like, it's online somewhere, so I'm gonna look now. Can't get into.
I'll read it. I'll read it offline, but thank you.
Okay.
And thank you for pulling that up. I just know that it's in there. You can know to check the charter. So I appreciate everybody taking a look at that. Regarding the other things that we've been carrying over, just to check and see if there are any updates regarding, Musil's one, I think. Right. So nobody can point a finger at us right now and say that we're holding up, we're basically waiting on another. Okay.
mean, it's
Right.
undoing at the town's leisure. I mean, we can just turn around and say, well, we're gonna take your bond and we're gonna finish it ourselves. I mean, yeah, they can politely ask, but we don't have to agree with it. I mean, we not, the P and Z, it's the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, very good. Just one other quick update, and again, just because I thought this was, you know, we spent a lot of time discussing it. There was an application that came to us about a couple months ago. It was for Tarby Lane, and it was the one where they were taking the airport hangar. They wanted the building had to be at a certain level to be able to do it, and it was going to, they had to redo a lot of Tarby Lane and everything. That went through all of the approvals on our side, went to Board of Selectmen, everything was done, and then they decided to pull the project, and they're going to look at doing it with a different hangar space at another location. So I imagine we'll be back in front of us again at some point, but just wanted to give you a heads up that I heard about that. Sure. Mhm. Mhm. Makes sense. No, but it's kind of connect, brings all, closes the loop. Very good, thank you. Does anybody else on the commission have anything they'd like to bring up? I have not received a letter from the state, at least as of Thursday. I actually responded back to Mr. Beard after the comments at the last meeting and directed him and told him, first off, that, you know, in terms of the site use, that's in discussions with our council and them, and that's where it's in discussions. There's no other update at this time. All of his other allegations regarding New England Septic, regarding the sewage and everything like that, I told him it's a deep and health issue, and I was talking to Attorney Sherry about that. So, I don't even know if I would feel comfortable saying that they said that there's no violations, whatever like that. I think we're probably safer off saying that is not under our purview. We're not
That's
going
all
to,
we need to-
yeah,
yeah.
you need to talk to them and not getting involved with that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no, and I told him when he was going, I didn't think was appropriate to try and resolve at that time. So, I mean, it's the audience of citizens and you know, we can hear that type of feedback. But that's why my constant thing was, you know what? I don't have any updates on that right now. I don't have anything on that right now. We're gonna have to look at that and I'll respond back to you. And I just kept trying to redirect it. I think that was the best way to do that. But thank you for the insight. Does anybody else in the commission have anything that they would like to bring up? Hearing none, it's great to see everybody. So welcome back and entertain a motion to adjourn. Brett, second? Okay, it was a unanimous voice, silent second, Jess. All those in favor, aye. I agree. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm not sure if everybody